All right, welcome everybody. We're hopping on a lean business canvas train this morning. We're talking about that. Well, I should say, zoom out a little bit. This is like one of the last steps in our process. We start with a podcast where we generate ideas. Then we talk about the ideas here on YouTube. And then if we really like those ideas, if we think they can be made into a product, we do a lean business canvas as like our first test. And so what we're looking for is a score of 10 or above. We score each category on the lean canvas, 0 to 2. And if those total up to 10, then we move forward with investigating the idea. I'm Jimmy. I'm a software developer, and that's Neil in the hood. Actually, you can't see the hood, but he looks like Darth Vader, except in an orange hood. That would be Anakin at that point, though, right?
Or Darth Sidious.
Oh, you're right. You're much closer to Darth Sidious. Or you could be Palpatine.
Yeah.
Neil shaved his head. He shaves his head like with frequency. Which I admire. It's gotta be nice to wash, you know. Okay, I've dragged us off track enough. Today we're talking about clocks can be detrimental to sleep. So this is a problem we came up with a while ago. And the kind of problem here is that, well, there's like two problems. Waking up like in the middle of the night makes you worry. Like if you can see what time it is, you like worry. If it's like 3 a.m., you're like, oh crap, I'm gonna be like really tired at work tomorrow, or what have you. Then I have the problem of like when I know the time, I stay up later and later because I can calculate the number of hours of sleep I'll still get. Whereas like, yeah, so I just like really am always calculating like, oh, I can stay up another 30 minutes, and then it turns into an hour and then an hour and a half, and then I'm just up all night. So our proposed solution is a clock that during the night like just displays awake or asleep, like tells you very simply like what you should be doing. So like for me, I wouldn't be able to calculate my bedtime, like how many hours of sleep I'm getting. All I know is like I should go to bed. I can't game the system as much. And then like the other case, like when you wake up in the middle of the night, you just see, okay, asleep. Like I should be asleep. I'll go back to bed. And there's no like crazy math you're doing and worrying. But
Yeah. And likewise, right around the time you wake up, if you wake up, 5 minutes before your alarm, your best option is to just wake up.
yeah,
And
you're right.
people, when they have, a number, they try to sneak in, that extra 2 minutes, which in the end just makes them more tired. So if it was just, okay, it's time to be awake, I don't know if, it's 5 minutes before I'm supposed to, or 5 minutes after, or right on time, but I know what to do.
That's a very good point. It's like, it's a way of building in a simple heuristic. Like, because right now I think clocks force us to make these hard decisions, and they're noisy decisions. Shout out to Daniel Kahneman. They're like often bad decisions because they're complicated. And like, I think this is a case where like automation and some simple algorithmic rules can make a big impact.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. What do we start with?
Problem.
Yep. All right. The problem, top 1 to 3 problems. So like waking up in the middle of the night, with anxiety because of sleep time. And then there's like waking up like right before alarm. And then there's like going to bed at a good time. Okay. Existing alternatives. Do you know of any? I mean,
just a normal clock.
Yeah, normal clock. There's like the clock. Like I have a clock that like starts bright. I can like set a timer and it'll slowly get darker and then I know, oh, it's time to go to bed. Doesn't really work for me, but theoretically, I think the sun
Yeah.
does this pretty well, but none of us run by the sun anymore, nor is it like
Nope.
really practical to do so. But
Nope.
that's a pretty clear sign. Is it dark out? I should be asleep. Is it light out? I should be awake.
Yeah.
Like camping solves this problem really well.
Mm-hmm.
Never had this problem when I'm camping.
No.
Yeah. Which puts the culprit as the clock, I think. Right.
Yeah.
Yep. What's next?
Over to customer segments.
All right, all the way over to the other side. Sorry, this is like horizontal for y'all, but I haven't figured out how to make it normal. Target end users. This is an interesting question. I hadn't thought about this.
I don't think it's me.
Why not?
Because for the most part, I don't like if I wake up just before I'm supposed to wake up, I get up. I don't use an alarm.
Oh, you don't use an alarm. Okay.
I have, yeah, just generally pretty good sleep hygiene.
Yeah.
So I guess it'd be
do.
people with bad sleep hygiene, which is most people.
Well, there's like a few cases of it. There's like people like there's like a night owl, right? Like a chronic night owl. That doesn't want to be one, of course, but like there's like a like middle of the night waker upper, which I'm sure there's like a condition. But I'm gonna call it middle of the night waker upper. And then there's like the case of like bad morning sleep hygiene.
Mhm.
Yeah. Early adopters.
I think they'd just be like the tech savvy early adopters,
So like they'd
right?
be tech savvy and they'd
It'd
struggle
be
with sleep.
Kickstarter users.
Starter type. Okay. What comes next?
Over to the unique value proposition.
Okay. Are we different? Like all these sleep things are so freaking complicated. You know what I mean? Like even my alarm clock, the light one, it's like, okay, oh, I have to remember, okay, 30 minutes before I go to bed, I have to set my like light alarm, and it's just like everything is over. Or the like I was looking at Rise, that sleep app that I sent you, and it's like
Mhm.
we're gonna calculate all this information and data and like send it to you and say how much you should sleep and when you should go to bed. And like it's like, oh my God, this is also complicated. Like we're a simple solution, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think, so often we can solve it with technology, right? And it's like, oh, we'll slap a sleep tracker on your wrist, or
Exactly.
we'll have this fancy clock that you need to program, or we'll make a mattress that, wakes you up, or something. And
It's
this
like
is this is saying, hey, a clock is too much technology.
exactly like it's lean analytics. Like all these things are vanity metrics. Like lean analytics has this really great definition of like if a metric doesn't change how you behave, it's a vanity metric. My dog just farted and it's disgusting. Um, so I think like this like, oh, I slept 7 hours and 37 minutes. Like, what are you gonna do with that? But you can't, that's not actionable. Like sleep more. What is that? Like
Yeah.
that's a bunch of junk. Like, or go to bed at this time. Like, no, like life happens. Like you can't just like those aren't actionable metrics. Whereas like, should I be awake right now? Okay. Should I be asleep right now? That like I can take concrete actions on that.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the simplest unit of information that matters. Okay, high level concept. Uh, hmm. What's something that simplified something a lot?
Um, hmm.
Hmm. It's hard to even think of things that are simple. We are like, oh, I feel like we are like the pen and paper of sleep technology.
Yeah, in some ways.
Okay. What's next?
Over to solution.
Oh, possible solution. Well, got this clock. It says awake, or it says asleep. I guess, and these kick in at certain hours.
Yep.
So like you can use it like a real clock most of the day, but just around sleep times, it goes to those.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what's next?
Over to unfair advantage.
What's our unfair advantage? Like, I think our simplicity. I don't know. I feel like that's a completely unfair advantage because like you look at all these other technologies and it's like, geez, it's so freaking complicated.
Yeah.
I think like it's unfair that we could solve this problem with a different clock, whereas like Pod is trying to build like a smart sleep solution that like handles
Mm-hmm.
temperature for you and like yeah.
Yeah. No, I think simplicity.
And ease of use. I hope.
Yeah.
I mean that we would need to have that. All right, what's next?
Over to revenue streams.
This is an interesting one. I want to remember the models in lean analytics. I really want to buy that.
Well, it would just be a hardware sale,
Yeah, like hardware sales.
right? So it'd be every time you sell a unit.
I don't like that revenue stream at all, but
Why don't you like that revenue stream?
I want recurring revenue.
I dislike recurring revenue because me as a consumer, I hate recurring revenue streams.
That's true. I do too. Yeah, I know it's much nicer to buy things and just own them.
Yep.
What's next?
Over to cost structure.
Oh man, I feel like I really want to read more about cost structures and revenue streams because I feel like whenever I come to here, I'm like, ah, we buy things. So like advertising, hardware, like inventory, right?
Yeah, so it'd be the cost to develop. That'd be
Yeah.
a one-time cost, and then the cost per unit to produce.
Can I call that inventory?
Sure.
Yeah.
And then yeah, it'd be, probably on a crowdfunding source, and the cost to create the
Oh, you're right.
campaign, which you have as advertising.
Yeah. Well, then after the product's out, we have to advertise too.
Yeah.
Mm.
And up to key metrics.
This is a great one. I don't know what would we want to measure? Sales per week. Seems annoying. I don't know. I think it might be that or something like that because we don't want to track and sell data. Like that's another unfair advantage is privacy. like we're not a smart device.
Yeah.
We're not
No,
tracking data.
so I see, this being a good project to go, like to Kickstarter or
Mhm.
some other crowdfunding source.
Oh, so then our
So
key
then,
metric would be funding on Kickstarter.
yeah,
So
it'd be,
like
either dollars or number of backers.
funding per week, Kickstarter. Yeah. Or like number of shares or something like that like ties to that. All right,
Yep.
channels. Inbound or outbound? I don't really understand what that. Oh. How do we reach customers? Like Kickstarter, uh, product hunt. Probably this would be a good product hunt one.
Mhm.
Um, what else? Not magazines, like podcast ads. I feel like this would be really interesting. We could really nail down a podcast that would make sense. Yeah. Is that it?
Yeah,
Let's score it.
score it.
Problem. I feel like this is a 1.
Um, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Um, I think it's like a very clear problem, but it's not like the biggest problem in the world.
Well, I think
Maybe it is a really big problem.
I think it's a really big problem that we have just become,
Mm,
accepting of.
yeah, you're right. Let's make it a 2. I think. Are you good with that?
Sure.
The solution. I think it's a 2.
I like our
I
solution.
really like the solution.
Well, I mean, like Taleb talks about,
The
technology that emulates
oh
nature are the best solutions. And, in some ways, this is emulating, the sun, right?
mhm,
Where you can sort of, if you don't have artificial light, you can tell when the sun has set and then when it's starting to rise.
yeah, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Key metrics. 1.
Yeah.
I don't feel like that's like a great key metric. I think we'd have to do some work on that. Unique value proposition. I think that's a 2.
Yeah.
I think this is a pretty clear like value prop in the space.
Well, I think it is because it's so simple,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
people would get it.
Yeah. Unfair advantage. I feel like we don't have a really great unfair advantage because this could be very easily copied.
Yeah.
So like 1, maybe even
Yeah.
0. I almost feel like 0.
Yeah.
Like this would just immediately get copied. Channels. I feel like we have pretty good channels. Like a 1 or a 2.
Yeah. I think, this is something that I could
Yeah.
totally see being a Kickstarter campaign.
Yeah. Revenue streams. 1. I don't like hardware sales.
Yeah.
Customer segments. I also feel like that's a 1. Like,
Yeah.
how do we reach these people? I don't even know. Like,
Yeah. I think for customer segments, there's a lot of people who could who need it, but not many who would, self-realize that they need it.
there's not a clear target. And then cost structure, I think is like a 1.
Yeah.
I just feel like that's average. So 2, 4, 5, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12. So this one passed. I think this one would be really fun to work on and try.
Yep. I agree.
I think it might, it's probably really soon going to be cool to buy an Arduino to do that.
Yep.
So, all right, that's all we have for today. We will see you later. Let me figure out how to stop recording.